Okay. All right. I think we're live. Let's jump into
We're
this.
live. Let's go.
Wanted to talk about this cool topic of the AI rep that never sleeps, the future of lead response. You've got Gabe Larson here and Dave Elkington. Dave, let's jump right in. You and I have been chatting on social a little bit about this idea of lead response. It seems like it got really hot. I think I know why.
Yeah.
About 10 years ago. It seems like people have kind of forgotten it, but I think there's a little bit of an awakening happening. Maybe just take me back a little bit.
Yeah.
You were fundamental in lead response 10 years ago. What happened?
We mentioned it's not 10, it's like 17 years ago.
Is it 17?
No. So here's the background. Like in 2007, when we were building InsideSales.com, this became a topic. And so we were building a technology that optimized the way you interact with web leads. And we had one of our clients who came to us and said, it's got to be immediate. Like we're buying tens of thousands of leads, and we need your technology to be able to help us talk to them like right off the website. And we're like, no, it's cadence. And they're like, no, you don't get it. So we're like, okay, let's go run a study. And this is when we did this homework study with
bring it back, man.
Yeah. This is old school.
Do you remember this thing? This is actually well designed. I mean, I was looking at this and I was like,
why do you seem so surprised? It's actually well designed.
It just still looks cool. I mean, it's
amazing. It's beautiful. So here, this we did with Harvard. We first published it with Kellogg, where Professor Jim Oldroyd was teaching, and we presented it at Marketing Sherpa. So the white hair in the room is going to remember that. And it was so revolutionary that we then published it. We did more research, did case studies. We then published it, as you see here, in Harvard Business Review. It was actually in the magazine, and it was one of the most popular articles. And then it was interesting enough, we did more research, and we then did it with MIT and a Sloan School. So what you're getting out of this is like, I'm telling you, circa 2007, most of you guys were just a twinkle in your parents' eyes. What you're looking at is there's lots of best practices on how you should respond to a marketing generated lead, an MQL. And there's things like, if you look here in chart, I think it's chart 2, morning versus and evening versus middle of the day. Yep. You're I can't remember. I think you're like 150% more likely to get someone to engage with you than, if again, morning, evening versus middle of the day. You also have things like days of week where it's like, if you engage on a Thursday versus a Monday, you're, I think 50-ish%, it's better. But the thing that just blew everybody away is if you wait more than even 5 minutes versus like immediate response, your leads are dying. You basically, the response curve, and you can look at it in number 3 there, it just drops off a cliff. Basically, if you don't respond immediately, you're literally wasting tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars on all of your marketing efforts. So again, 2007. Here's what's crazy. We did response audits. Like we basically secret shoppered people's web forms to measure how long they take to respond. You know this, but guess the average.
I don't even know I don't know if I remember. What was
48 hours. 48 hours to respond to a web lead. It gets worse. 23% of people we audited never respond. So you think about this. You have marketing teams, crazy efforts to generate these things. And a quarter of them, the sales leaders, the BDRs, the SDRs, never actually even attempt to call.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But it seems
wait, let me pause you. Everyone on this call, on the podcast is going to be like, oh, well, there's bad leads. No, we did the audits with valid phone numbers, valid emails. They were companies with websites. They had, I'm going to say it. We made fake LinkedIn profiles. Like these were like, there was no reason a BDR or an SDR wouldn't engage or an AE wouldn't engage. 25% of valid, at least they appeared to be valid web leads, never got engagement. Okay, fast forward today. It's just as bad. It's no better.
I know, but that was I felt like, I think it was because the study, there was like this reawakening, right? Where it was like, we all need to respond. I actually thought that forms would maybe die out by, call it 2025. There's still so many forms in the B2B world, but it does seem like people have kind of dropped the ball. I'm curious why you feel like that might be the case.
Here's why. Well, first off, it's hard. Like it is
just hard, right?
It's hard, right? this is just hard work. If I'm a BDR or a BDS or an ADM, I need to be sitting at my desk for 8 hours a day. And then what happens in the evening or the afternoon, like, or during lunch?
Yeah, the afternoon stuff was never solved. I mean,
No.
I remember there was a couple companies back in the day, that were probably more SMB small businesses that were getting the majority. You get people at 6 o'clock where they have time, they're actually jumping into these types of companies. 6 to 10 was a disaster, right? That was never solved, I think. But I think people did try during work hours for a while to do it.
And it would turn, like, I had BDRs who would literally like race to like get those web leads because they were the hottest. They would buy.
They were hot.
They would actually take their laptops to the bathroom with them because they didn't want to miss like the opportunities. And so like that's how, for a period of time, people understood it and they were all over it. And then what happened is it was like, oh, but this is super hard. So then they're like, let's make email autoresponders. That'll do it. And then after that, people said live chat. That'll do it. And then after that, they this huge trend of like chatbots, like automated chatbots. And this is all basically ways of saying, I just don't want to do the work at the end of the day, right? Like, I think
I love it. I love it. I mean, I think that brings us to the current date. And Dave and I have been chatting a little bit, and this is something near and dear to our heart. It's a problem we've been thinking about, I think, for, now 15 years.
20 years, bro.
20 years. Yeah, I don't want to admit it, but it's true. But there's
See
a
that gray
new
in your beard?
solution. There's look, I got a little bit of gray in there. There's a new solution that you're kind of bringing to market, Dave. We obviously pushed it out this week, and it made some noise. We've got hundreds of thousands of impressions. My DMs blew up on LinkedIn, bringing the old crew back together to kind of resolve the old Harvard Business Review MI study of how fast should you respond to leads. How do you think people can solve that now? Introduce us to this idea of cloud employees.
So that's what's changed. The whole world is changing as a result of what's happening with machine learning and AI. And so the opportunity is, let's assume everybody is well-intended. In fact, I was having a conversation with Barry Traylor, and was one of the researchers from CSO Insights, and he and I were talking. It is so hard for people to do this. And so let's just assume that people are at their desk 8 hours, 10 hours a day. Well, you still have the problem of after hours. You have the problem of lunch. You have the problem of like having a conversation, or what if you're on a sales call and you're a generalist? So the world has changed in where there's a new generation of technology that actually can solve this problem. And we've seen it with the advent of AI agents. But there's a problem with that, and I want to talk to you, and I want to get your take on that. And then there's a recent, pretty groundbreaking article published by Microsoft around what they're calling frontier companies, which are companies that are essentially AI first. Now, everyone says, "Oh, we're AI first." What this describes is companies that are small in headcount and large in AI agents or AI assistants, like. They're talking somewhere in the range of like, and we again, lots of buzz on social, like anywhere from 3 to 1 in terms of human employee versus a cloud employee, all the way up. Some people are saying it needs to be as high as 10 to 1. And there's this ratio that's being, that we brought up called employee to cloud employee ratio. So it's the ECE ratio, employee to cloud employee ratio, of how many live employees versus cloud employees. A cloud employee has the ability to be always on, be fully contextualized, be fully trained, and basically do the stuff that honestly we don't want to do, right? And so we believe there's a stage even beyond this frontier company, and we're calling it an autonomous enterprise. So these are enterprises who are truly all of the front end, I'll call very redundant jobs, menial tasks that we don't like to do, B, don't do them well, can be done by cloud employees. And so that's what you have been really championing, the idea of cloud employees and building out some use cases that make an impact for companies. So I'd love to hear like what you've done. You've joined on and you're building something that I think people are we've even shared with people and they don't believe it, right? They're like,
yeah, look, I think this is super exciting. It's hard to, and I don't know if every company can do this, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to relook at your org map and build what we're kind of calling a job map. where what are the jobs we can do or we could assign to AI agents? And it's been such a fun exercise. And this is one we felt like would be low hanging fruit. And so we introduced to the market this idea of Zoe. We did personify it, but it is a lead response agent or lead response cloud employee. But the difference with this cloud employee, Dave, that I feel like is, and I want to see if we can get the slide up here, Jenny, if you get a second, so I can kind of walk through some of the differences here. But in the market right now, obviously, there's just a lot of buzz about AI agents and different tasks that are being done. So you're going to hear, hey, I've got this little like web scraper assistant, or people are using ChatGPT in marketing to help them do copy or create amazing
just tasks, little
right?
tasks.
It feels so task oriented. And look, it's awesome. Or you'll hear about chat, like, oh my goodness, we got this chat bot going, or we got this email agent going that is just spamming the crap out of people, right? And all of these little tasks, I don't want to diminish them because they are awesome, but people are now starting to say, how do I move from tasks to flows?
Well, and I think that might be the difference between what Microsoft was calling the frontier company, which is like, it's more assistant focused. So like, think about developers using things like Copilot or Cursor, where it's an amplifier, but it still means I'm working, right? So like as a developer, I have to do all of this work of like, as I code, it's making me better. What you're talking about are things that run autonomously. They actually do the job.
Yeah. And I think that last part, the job, is probably the thing that's most important. And then the autonomous part, because what you're seeing here, and I just whipped this up for kind of lack of better terms, but there's a couple things. This is a full end-to-end job. This is not tasks. And you have an autonomous AI agent. Zoe now reports to me. I talk to her once a day. We do some coaching sessions. I talk to her about some of the things she did just so we can improve it. I look at some of the numbers, but notice the difference that you're seeing here. And this is a little busy, but you got to get into some of the details to experience some of the magic. So Zoe literally, and then we can kind of maybe even test Zoe here in just a second, Dave, but a web form will come in. It could be a demo request, an event, whatever it might be. And then Zoe basically is watching that trigger. And most of these agents, Dave, are starting with some form of a trigger or a signal, which might be interesting to dive into later. But then she starts to run through a series of activities that SDRs should do, but they never have done in the first one.
And that was something Barry said. Like when we were talking to Barry Trailer, again, CSO Insights researcher, kind of an icon in the sales research industry. We kind of shared this with him. And do you remember what he said? This was fascinating.
I think he basically said that, right? He's like, this is something that people should have done, but they never
and
do.
They never do. He's like, look, if a sales rep could do this, they would, but they don't have the time to do this. Many of them don't have the attention span to do this. So he's like, it's just not practical to do what we all know we should do.
Yeah. And so Zoe is trying to cross a lot of those bridges. And so she does. She goes through a lead enrichment concept to make sure the information is there. She does a context step, where she dives into CRM. This happens so much, Dave. Literally, she just did this the other day. We had a customer come in, and instead of doing this full process, she paused, shot me a note and said, customer, why don't you follow up on this one? I'm not going to continue. But she looks, is it an in-funnel lead? Is it already an opportunity? Is it already a customer? So she tries to get some of that type of information. Based on what she learned, she creates a contextual message base, right? So how should I then create an email sequence to reach out to the audience? And so you'll see her build this email, I'm going to start like this. I'm going to kind of address them like that. She then runs through a programmed sequence. So she starts with email. If she doesn't get a response, that's the fascinating thing, Dave. If she does get a response, she's going to email back and forth, ask some of those qualifying questions. We see obviously a lot right now is being done on email.
And so what's her objective? If I look at all of this, like what's she trying to do? And I already know the answer. I'm teeing you up.
Yeah, look, so she's running through this sequence ultimately to do the job of that SDR, which is ultimately set an appointment. And so she has full capability to review calendars and actually say, it looks like 1 o'clock's ready. Why don't we get you in on Monday to do that demo request? And then last but not least, she does write it all back to the CRM, and then she moves on to the next call. She can handle multiple calls simultaneously and kind of do this real time. So it's end to end. It's not just one task, right, Dave?
And I cut you off, and I love this. Like what she has the ability to do is all of that research we did with Professor Oldroyd at Harvard and at MIT and at Kellogg. basically those best practices are built into her knowledge base. So she'll send emails with the appropriate messaging at the appropriate times, at the appropriate sequence. She'll make phone calls. She'll leave the appropriate voicemail
Oh, the
if they call back.
voicemail. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. Voicemail.
right. How many salespeople have we said, please leave a voicemail? And they're like, I still have the time. Like,
Yeah.
a voicemail could be, a minute, minute and a half. And you want me to make, 80 calls in a day. So like you just burnt an hour to 2 hours of my day leaving voicemail. So they just won't do it. Guess what? She knows when to do it and when not to do it. And she does it every time.
Yeah. So I thought it'd be fun, Dave. Maybe if we do, maybe let's do the voicemail example. Should we test Zoe real quick? Should we put her on
Yeah,
the
look,
spot
let's
real time?
like this is a live demo. So if it doesn't work, this
Yeah,
is
people
Gabe's
have been
fault.
asking actually if this is live. Jordan Timothy is like, this feels like Jordan, this is live. Are you
Jordan,
kidding? Would I do anything else?
come on. It could break. So if this doesn't work, everyone who knows us knows this is Gabe's fault.
We're gonna delete the video and we'll figure out what to do.
Yeah. Don't tap
Zoe
us.
just left me a voicemail on my phone, so I'm actually gonna call her back. That's
Got
an
it.
interesting idea, right? So
Yeah.
voicemail is left. This is not just a form fill. Let's say I've got the voicemail and I'm gonna see if I can hit Zoe back here. Let's see how she responds. Uh-oh, putting the pressure on you, Zoe. Here we go.
Zoe, your friendly cloud employee with Signals here. What can I help you with?
Yeah, Zoe. I just had got a voicemail about a demo request I was trying to set up with Signals. Is that something you could help me with?
No.
Oh, good point. Yeah, so I just had one or two quick questions before I jump into the demo. Is that all right?
What's on
Cool.
your mind?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, can you tell me what is a cloud employee real fast?
Sure thing. Employee
I love it.
marketing,
Zoe,
customer-
that was such a great answer. I'm cutting her off here. I'd love to get to the appointment. Can we get there Monday? Do you have any times Monday available?
Got it. What time on Monday works best for you? And don't forget to let me know your time
Yeah, Eastern. And what do you have open? Can you recommend a couple times?
for you.
Let's do 10 a.m. Thank you, Zoe. Bye-bye. So, Dave, I wanted to highlight that wasn't bad. That wasn't bad for putting her on the spot. The interruption capability, that's so cool. I mean, look, I didn't have a lot of time. I just got a voicemail and she was kind of like cloud employees. And I was like, okay, I got it. And she did. She kind of recognized that speech pattern and shut up, bless her heart, and then allowed me to kind of move to the next thing. I need to get the appointment. I need to get on to my next call. How's that possible? I don't want to go into all the meat, but that's pretty cool.
Look, the thing about the AI technology, so a couple of things have happened at the same time. We have the LLM technology that allows that speech capability. At the same time, there's been crazy innovation around voice technology. And so, I mean, we're living at a moment where, and look, let's be honest. We've been saying this. Technology is going to become a speech first platform. So we're on a bit of a tangent, but I'm going to just kind of espouse my belief of what's happening in the next probably 3 years. Enterprise software that has been traditionally CRUD, right? Like you just come in, put in data, look at data, see lists, edit, add, delete. That's going away. Technology will be a voice first solution, I believe, moving forward. And it's because of, again, this cross section of what's happened with the LLM and large language models, the transformers, and this speech to text and text to speech. In fact, just on a side note, 11 Labs just released a voice technology that mimics human emotion, human capabilities to the point where when you listen to it, you're like, this feels almost real. So if you haven't heard 11 Labs V3, go look at it. But that's what's making all of this possible.
I love the push on 11 Labs. So, Dave, a lot of people, as I push this out to market, obviously there's a concern around where do humans fit? Is this new technology, these new AI agents, cloud employees, are they out to replace? As we wrap up here, I'd love to just bounce some ideas. How are you seeing this fitting into the enterprise company?
So, look, the first thing, and you said it, AI currently is they're just doing tasks, right? A lot of these AI agents are just automation. I think there's an important place for that. But what you just showed is a fully autonomous cloud employee. That, I believe, is the future. These autonomous enterprises, these frontier companies. That being said, there will always be a need for humans, right? So they're actually not replacing people at all. They're just replacing jobs. And these are the jobs we don't want, right?
Look, that's the one. I think we're not seeing people fire. We're seeing redeployment, and we're seeing people focus on more tasks that are valuable. But I love the idea. It's not replacing people, it's replacing jobs. And a lot of these jobs, as we said, people were not responding to leads, Dave. They
weren't doing it. So the way, if you read that Microsoft article, basically they're saying every employee in the world just got a promotion. rather than doing all of these tactical menial things that we don't want to do. Instead, we will be managing these cloud employees, whether it's an agent or a cloud employee. If it's a task versus a fully kind of orchestrated job, we now are the orchestrators. We are now the people managing all of that. So we all just got promoted. We didn't just get fired.
Cool. Well, fun talk track, Dave. Appreciate it. For the audience, again, check out this concept, cloud employees, and how it can basically solve some of those jobs for you. Have a great day, everybody.
And by the way, come check it out at Signals. You can come play with it and try it.
Okay.
Thanks,
Dave.
Thanks everybody.